This is for you, Kings fans, wherever you may be. All the frustration and disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another post-game live here on Dime Dropper for the 2023-24 season. And this one, the favorite night of all Dime Dropper fans and supporters, Lakers versus Clippers. And finally, the first time since I've been doing post-game lives, the Lakers are the ones that come out victorious by a final score of 130-125 at the Staples Center on the Lakers floor. And it was a really good game, a thriller on national television. Before we get started, though, guys, you already know the drill. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time we go live, all things LA sports and LA basketball. Nowhere else you're going to get as much LA basketball on both teams than this channel. Also, Locked On Clippers 5 days a week. You can subscribe there. Check out my latest vlog talking about James Harden coming to the Clippers, getting fans' opinions on it. It's out on the channel. And also just vlogs at every game I'm going to this season because I do have season tickets. So check those out. And then, of course, live after Laker games. I've watched every single one except for the Sacramento game because I was at a Clipper game for that one. So still trying to keep in touch with the Lakers and watch all their games and do content on them as well. I see 50 people on Twitter. Oh, my goodness. Yo, guys. Please exit out of that video and check into the YouTube link below you. I need everybody on YouTube. Everybody on YouTube, man. I'm not fucking around anymore. So go on YouTube. There's a link underneath the tweet that you're watching. 50 of you, please do me a favor. I know you guys love Twitter so much, but please do your boy a solid. Anyway, let's get into it. Shout out to everybody in the live tonight, including all my mods. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. Anything helps at these very tough times of mine. Having to deal with my least favorite player in NBA history besides Karl Malone and like guys with weird off-court history on my team. Anyway, let's get into the game tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The Lakers with a narrow win, but a win indeed over the Clippers. Lakers obviously off to a somewhat shaky start to the season, but they've also had a very tough schedule. If you look at the Lakers schedule, they played against the Sacramento Kings. They played at Sacramento, by the way, the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, and then, of course, the Magic and now us. And they don't look as good as us. There's no doubt about it. In the first half, that really showed because the Clippers came out with a vengeance, and Kawhi Leonard was absolutely scorching hot. Like, it was insane. Coming off of screens, if you got a glimmer of daylight, popped the three, and LeBron was guarding him. And I thought it was awesome to see LeBron and Kawhi Leonard guard each other. Just, you know, you got to appreciate that kind of greatness when you're seeing it. And Kawhi Leonard and Paul George guarding each other. You don't want to take those for granted. Sorry, Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James guarding each other. You don't want to take that for granted at all. But LeBron was getting cooked in the beginning. Let's not let's not mince words here. He was giving Kawhi too much room, and LeBron so far this season hasn't played much defense at all, in my opinion. He had that stretch at the end of the Suns game where he did, but I don't think LeBron's played really defense. And against Kawhi Leonard, you can't just give him that much room, especially with the way he has started out shooting the ball this season. Shout out to Kareem Sharif with the $20 super chat. Really appreciate that, bro. $20 ain't a little bit of money to be sending to a YouTuber that you don't even know. Really appreciate that, man. But tough start for the Lakers, right? We were rolling on all cylinders, and I love the defensive intensity. You've seen the defensive intensity of the Clippers in the beginning of this season be really sharp. And how about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George playing in the back-to-back? Not surprising from Paul George, but Kawhi Leonard. If I'm going to slander him, I don't even slander him for the back-to-back thing. I always say that I thought we got Kawhi Leonard under the conditions that he is going to have this thing, load management, where he sits one of the back-to-backs. But now, so far this season, he says there's no more load management. That was just because I had a knee problem. And then I tore my ACL, but I'm fine now. And you know what? He looks pretty fine now. But of course, he still didn't have the legs of a young player without any injury history. And you can kind of see that in the second half. But the way he looked last night, he had no legs. All his shots were short. And typically when Kawhi Leonard misses shots, his shots are short anyway. But he really had no legs, even though I want to give Kawhi a shout out. Last night, he guarded Paolo Banchero. Tonight, he guarded LeBron James. And that's no easy task. But that is exactly why, this is a risk, the trade we made, because now that we brought in Harden and traded away two of our bigger front court guys defensively that started out the season really well defensively in Nico and Rocco, it's going to put a lot of the onus for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to guard these bigger forwards. Because what I saw from PJ Tucker tonight, I mean, it's exactly what I expected from him. He's an older version of what used to be a very good defender. Now he can body up on guys. So like there was one or two times where when LeBron tried to body him, he stood up to the task and did fine. But he can't move his feet like that. And there were a couple of times where LeBron blew by him with a hard drive to his right. So when I say his right, I mean LeBron's right. But the Clippers were awesome in the first quarter. Swarming defense, obviously switching 1 through 4, except for Bones Highland, who was hedging and recovering. And I've noticed that we've really shown much more of that so far this season, with Bones Highland showing on the screen and then recovering. And it's really good for two reasons. One, you don't want to put three reasons, actually. One, you don't want to put Bones Highland guarding one-on-one too much because he's not that strong. That gives guys a chance to go one-on-one against him. Two, he has really good hands and long arms. So when he shows and gets back to the screen and a player with the ball thinks that there's somebody, that his roller is open or his guy popping is open, Bones gets his hand in the passing lane, comes out with a steal. And then third, he's quick, so he can kind of retreat in a decent amount of time. Now, the Lakers were really trying to attack Bones throughout the game, especially in the first quarter, more so than even Zubats. D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, LeBron, they were shooting threes. But I felt as though the Lakers were really playing into our hands in the first half. A bunch of jumpers for a team that is not a very good jump shooting team. And they were not pounding the ball inside to Anthony Davis at all. They weren't making Zubats work at all. And it was just playing against our perimeter defense, who is playing really well right now. Russell Westbrook chasing guys over screens, poking the ball away. It was a swarming effort. And the Clippers led 37-24 after the first quarter. Now, in the second quarter, and by the way, as far as the Lakers, Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell really missing those shots in the first quarter. And if you're a Laker fan, I'm not super encouraged. Actually, you know what? I take that back. D'Angelo Russell did finish 10 for 19 and 3 for 7 from deep in this game and 4 for 4 from the line, including 2 really big free throws late in the game. And Austin Reeves finally had a good game. It was all the second half. But the main key for the Lakers, besides the amazing defense of Anthony Davis, is Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell playing at a high level. You need them to make shots. You need them to make plays. And I think the Lakers at times, they don't get enough guys. And I think LeBron actually changed it in the game with this, is don't get enough guys that are looking to take that mid-range off of screens enough. It's like they get into the foul line area and then they try to kick. Austin Reeves likes the floater. I think Reeves likes the mid-range. But D'Lo, for a guy who has the good mid-range, I don't think he goes to it enough. And I usually have that criticism of LeBron too. But LeBron in this game shot the mid-range and was hitting it. And even a couple of times going to his right, which I say LeBron going to his right, like he's not comfortable shooting to his right. But when he's open, he is, because he has enough time to square his body without a contest. The thing is, when someone's on his hip, going to his left, no problem. He can stop on a dime. A lot of times he likes that step back. But going to his right, he has that overhead release that he brings from the upper left side of his body. So when he does it, pulls up going to his right, he turns and squares his shoulders like everybody has to. But because LeBron's release is so interesting, it is pretty difficult for him, and he doesn't like shooting to his right. I remember when I was on Synergy, when I briefly had it, I saw LeBron's shot attempts going to his right on jumpers last season, and it was so far below left, you couldn't even believe it. But it matches the eye test. But in this game, a couple of times dribbling with his right hand, he pulled up on a dime with obviously nobody on him. But still, I thought it was pretty interesting to see. He did a nice job squaring his body, knocking it down. There was one time with PJ Tucker. He had him one-on-one, 18 feet away, one dribble to his left, little mid-range. Looked like he almost went off one leg on that. But the Clippers, in the second quarter, by the way, rotations-wise, took Kawhi Leonard out at the 1 minute and 10-second mark of the first quarter, and then Paul George at the 47-second mark. So in the first half, the Clippers went with a lineup of no Kawhi and Paul George at one point, and LeBron and AD were in the game. And by the way, I don't want to just say that Terrence Mann and Harden were out. For the Lakers, they were missing Rui Hachimura. They were missing Cam Reddish. I'm sorry, not Cam Reddish. Taurean Prince, who's been their starter this season. They were missing Jared Vanderbilt, who still hasn't suited up this season. And they were also missing Gabe Vincent. However, I think the Lakers were more equipped, especially as a team that didn't play a back-to-back, to win this game, especially going into overtime. I think the Clippers ran out of gas, quite frankly, and then the Lakers. The fact that the Lakers, who are a team that is going to play much slower this season than the Clippers, actually, you know what? Now that Harden's with the Clippers, I take that back. But before Harden came, the Lakers weren't going to play as fast of a pace as the Clippers this season. That's just the way the teams are constructed, the way the teams have looked so far this year. But the Lakers in this game had 23 fast break points to the Clippers 9. And I think that tells you a lot. And that mostly came in the second half. So in the second quarter, when the Clippers had that lineup of not having Kawhi or Paul, the Lakers just weren't making shots. So they weren't taking advantage of it too much. But the Clippers offense still wasn't that great. Kawhi and PG returned at the 7:08 mark and stayed in the rest of the half. I don't necessarily like that kind of minutes rotation for those two. But again, this doesn't mean anything because now we have a super team with James Harden. So who knows what's going to happen now. But the Lakers were just chucking in the first half and not attacking the paint. I don't think they went to AD nearly enough. And Westbrook, want to talk about him for a second. LeBron, by the way, first half, total tale of two halves. He had nothing to me in the first half. He may have scored here and there, but it was not impactful at all. I wasn't scared of it. And I was ready to say that another game goes by where LeBron doesn't scare me at all. Finally, he got one on us. But how about what's it called? Westbrook. So in the first half, I thought you could see this was the first game Russ played on the Lakers floor. And I was pretty surprised he didn't get booed. I thought he was going to get booed on every touch, considering how much Laker fans hate him. And some of them are just so invested in his downfall. It's crazy. By the way, shout out to Vinay Kaushik for the super chat. Really appreciate you. But it seems like Laker fans, some of them are so OD when it comes to Westbrook. And I was surprised they weren't booing him. And you felt that Russ was playing super hard and had a chip on his shoulder. But I also felt that he was playing really frantically. And that first turnover he had early in the game when he just passed it straight across the court, flat angle pass, that was a terrible pass. And then the one he had a couple actually. The second half, actually no, still in the first half, in the back court, where he just stopped his dribble out of nowhere to try to throw it to Paul George, and then Paul wasn't expecting it or was covered, so he threw it up to Plumlee, who had his back turned. So again, those are the turnovers that Russell Westbrook has had throughout the course of his career that make people have their doubts about him playing a big role in championship basketball. The same doubt that I had before we signed him, but that being said, he has shown so much more good than bad. I'm still not fully sold on him closing, and I'm going to get into that in a second, but two bad turnovers for Russ there. And then the third one when LeBron was sagging off of him in the second half and he just tried to throw a lob pass and Braun went up to the sky and intercepted it. Kratos super chat says, where's the Plumber Gym jersey, Dime? Absolutely never buying, never considering, maybe buying it just to throw up on it and burn it. But anyway, so the Clippers in the second quarter, I thought were pretty pedestrian. It was 24-24 in that quarter. And so the Clips led by a score of 61-48 going into the second half, and the second half was all Lakers. And I think the Clippers not only started running out of gas, but the Lakers took it to another level by increasing their defensive intensity. And I think the Clippers went a little stagnant in that second half. And I think part of that is, as I said, the back-to-back. And also, you got PG guarding Reeves, you got Kawhi guarding LeBron. That takes its toll. And I think the Lakers made a smart adjustment by taking LeBron off of Kawhi in the second half and going with a bit more size. At times you saw AD guarding Kawhi Leonard. You saw Reddish guarding Kawhi Leonard and doing a good job, although Reddish mainly did a good job guarding Paul George. You saw Christian Wood, who's been a surprisingly solid defender for the Lakers so far this season. And you saw some Jackson Hayes moving his feet pretty well as well. So the Lakers, the Clippers in the first half, I thought they had some really good off-ball stuff going on. I think so far this season, our offense has been closer to 2021 style, where I thought we showed a little more creativity. I think these last 2 seasons we've gone a little more stagnant, but we saw a lot more flare screens for Kawhi and Paul George, a lot more curls, just a lot more quick hitting screens for Kawhi and Paul to come off of them for quick shots with Westbrook as the trigger man. And you're going to still see that with Harden. Absolutely. The question is, are we seeing more of Westbrook go in the corner? And now you're starting to see his 3-ball kind of return to life. Actually, no, never mind on that. 3 for 6 in this game from deep. So the corner 3 is the one. I'm not a huge fan of the other ones. The corner 3 I'm okay with, and exclusively off the catch. I'm not a huge fan of Westbrook shooting any type of 3 off the bounce at all. Couple mid-ranges, though, in the first half for Russ. The only thing I had a problem with was his turnovers, because defensively he was doing great. Rebounding, he was doing great. He does those extra effort things, diving on the floor for a loose ball, playing hard, posting up the guards of the opposing team. You got to like that. But the second half, the Lakers, I just thought they were more physical. Their attention to detail was better. They were fighting over screens better, sharper on their switches. And I thought that Anthony Davis was really good defensively throughout the game. Even when he was so quiet offensively, what makes Anthony Davis one of the best players in basketball, in my opinion, the best defender in basketball, is he just takes care of so much. He shrinks the floor so much. He finds a way to contest shots, guard 2 at once. He can guard anybody on the court. He's truly spectacular in that facet. And the Clippers went ice cold, partially because the Lakers are playing better D, but also because the Clippers just started missing shots. And a lot of that was stagnant offense, which, again, is not going to change with Harden. Even though Kawhi, Paul, and Russ, especially Paul and Kawhi, are good moving without the ball, they're not super willing without the ball. Paul George even said on his own podcast, he's not a good cutter. He's not a good spontaneous mover. He's great in sets. And we're going to have a lot of creative sets now with Harden, I would assume. It's really going to be a huge test of Ty Lue's coaching ability. This is by far the toughest thing he's ever had to do, is mesh these 4 together, also get everybody to buy in. Because, the main thing is I think the stats are going to take a hit for somebody. Touches, stats. He said it was all about sacrifice day in the press conference. We'll see how everybody meshes. The fact that they're all friends is a good thing, but when you're not in rhythm as a hooper, you're not doing what you love, and you have to adjust too much, and you're not playing well, and everyone starts blaming you because you're trying to, not step on someone's toes, we'll see. But we'll see if that happens as well. Anyway, the Lakers also started going to the rim more. Did not settle as much in that third quarter. Reeves in the pick and roll, D'Lo, LeBron, going at AD just a little bit more. And I think the main culprit for the Clippers in terms of going cold, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard had 18 points in the first, and he only had 16 points at one point before I think he had 5 points in the overtime. Let me check if he made that free throw in the OT. He may have had 6 points in the OT. Let's see. Kawhi Leonard hit a jumper to give us the lead. Then he had the and one. That was 5. He had 8 points in overtime. So let's put it this way, right? He had 18 points in the first quarter, which was a career high for him of any first quarter for him. But he only had 12 points in quarters 2, 3, and 4. So that was kind of rough. And he just didn't seem like he had his legs anymore for a large stretch of the game. You saw that the Clippers were trying to run that double drag action a ton in that second half, which is Russ setting the first screen and popping out, and then Zeus setting the second screen and going to the rim. But teams aren't really that worried about Russ on that kick out. So all they're doing is just showing just a bit. Kawhi's holding on to the ball a lot because he didn't want to really kick it to Russ that quick on the kick out. And AD is so good that he can guard 2 at once and not only take away the initial drive from Kawhi, but also take away Zoo. And what you ended up seeing for the Clips was a lot of ball pounding, a lot of ISO with Kawhi. Now, the thing is, when you have Harden, a lot of times you'll have the third best defender on the other team guarding him, which that's a luxury. To have the third best defender guarding a guy of James Harden's one-on-one caliber offense. But let's just put it this way, right? Kawhi Leonard playing on a back-to-back. We already know that his knees are a little jacked up. It was a lot for him. And that being said, I think he still played pretty well. But it was just tough that he went cold, and the Lakers just stepped it up. I don't know how else to say it. But here's what I really have a problem with in both of our losses. The play of our centers. And I see the comments right now. Ivica Zubac, I've been so nice to him And I don't care about his plus minus numbers because he's surrounded by Paul George, Kawhi, and Westbrook, who have been our three best players, all playing at an all-star level so far these first 5 games. So I'm not super, going with, the plus minus. I understand that Mason Plumlee and the bench lineups aren't doing very well so far this season because we haven't really staggered Paul George and Kawhi like that with them. Tonight we did in the second half, but Zoo and Plumlee in both of our losses have given us nothing. Zubats takes way too long to go up when he catches the ball underneath the basket. And here's the thing, right? And I saw people talking about it on the timeline. When Russell Westbrook attacks when he's left open, he is running into congestion. He is, right? So when he's passing the ball to Zoo in a tight area, that's why I always say when you watch old school basketball, assists and passes are harder to get because the windows due to the spacing are tighter. So those passes underneath the basket, they have to have a certain degree of pace, but they also have to have a certain degree of soft, the way they fall into the receiver's hands. But having bad hands, and I think Ivica Zubac does not have very good hands, makes it tougher. But also when he catches the ball, he needs to be able to go up. And you also need to be able to be mindful of your spacing as a big. So when you see someone driving, maybe being right underneath the basket, if you feel as though your man can help and recover super easily, is not the best decision. Maybe you got to be in the short corner a little bit further away so that the big man that's guarding you, and I'm talking about our bigs here, so a big man's going to be guarding them, isn't able to play 2 at once so easily. I know people are going to blame Russell Westbrook for that pass, but here's the thing. It's either he goes up strong or he needs to shoot that shot, or you just don't like his offensive game because he's not a great spot-up guy. So that's the dilemma with Westbrook, right? Anyway, third quarter, yeah, I thought Kawhi went cold. Not much to say about it. But the thing is, we still kept the Lakers at bay for a while. PG went into the game for Kawhi Leonard at the 146 mark of the third quarter. And I'll tell you this, if it's a Zubac's got into foul trouble, I think that Ty Lue may have pulled the trigger a little too quickly, taking Zoo out of the game in the third quarter, because I want to see how many fouls Zoo had in the fourth. Let's see. If it's a Zubac shooting foul at the 8:17 mark, I think that was his last foul right there. So Zubac's got his fourth foul. I get it. He got his fourth foul with 8 minutes to go or 9 minutes to go in the third. And then at the I want to say it was around the 8-minute mark when the Clippers were up 72-63. We put Plumlee in, and by the time Zoo came back in the game, we were down 85-87. So you just see the difference, and that's not all because of Plumlee. Our offense went cold. Kawhi wasn't drawing 2 defenders, and I think one of the biggest reasons for that, and listen to this for the Lakers. They were down by 8, and then Ham may have unlocked something, and maybe you didn't. You weren't going to see this if the Lakers had Gabe Vincent, Rui, and Torian. Maybe you weren't going to see this. But the Lakers played a 3 big lineup at one point. Jackson Hayes, Anthony Davis, and Christian Wood with about 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter. And they went from being down by 8 to being up after it. And you know why I think it worked so well? Because I've been saying this for years. If the person to guard Kawhi Leonard is a bigger guy, he has trouble even getting by certain bigs at times. Yesterday against the Magic, Franz Wagner clamped him on a couple of possessions. Kawhi will bully your smaller guards because he'll get deep enough in the mid-range area, the mid-post area, or to the basket where he can cook. But he has trouble getting by bigger wings, even bigs. He has trouble getting by bigs straight up, unless they're insanely slow, like a Yusuf Nurkic type or a Jonas Valanciunas. Especially on a back-to-back, and plus, we got to remember, Kawhi's guarding LeBron. And fighting over screens. And LeBron was more aggressive in this game. He's been more aggressive the last couple of games because he's seen that in the first 2 games, he gave D'Lo and Austin a little more leniency in the pick and roll, and he's not really liking what he's seeing. D'Lo was a lot more off the catch in this game, a lot more off the ball. It was a lot more Reeves and LeBron in the pick and roll. And Reeves, third quarter is when he started getting going, including, I haven't seen the replay of it, but either Norman Powell tripped or he sent him for a milkshake, because actually they don't even sell milkshakes at Staples Center. But yeah, they don't have McDonald's anymore at Staples Center. It sucks. But he sent him to the bar, Figueroa bar, left to right cross to reject the screen into the mid-range. Austin Reeves was starting to cook, and the crowd started getting going. And when Christian Wood made that three to make it 82-81. Okay, someone said Norman tripped. When Christian Wood made that three to make it 82-81, I was like, okay, this is going to be a game. And then LeBron in the fourth quarter, I thought that he took it to another level, making the mid-range shot, hitting that three on the left wing with a hand in his face. I was like, okay, Bron. I've always said, I always say this jokingly, but I'm actually not even joking, that LeBron has literally scared me maybe before tonight one time in all the years of us playing him. Because most of the time when we played him a while ago, we were never expected to beat him. And then in the 50-50 games when he was with Cleveland and Miami, we beat them a pretty decent amount. Then with the Lakers, we've kicked his ass every time. The one game was that last game before the pandemic with LeBron James passing out of double teams and being amazing. I think this is an excuse, by the way. Stratos, my guy Stratos, he says, you're confusing Kawhi not forcing things with not being able to score over them. No, bro, he couldn't blow by anybody anymore. What are you talking about? Yeah, he didn't force it. Okay, but he still pounded the ball too long for me, Kawhi Leonard. Again, I don't think Kawhi pounds the ball a lot relative to current NBA players, but relative to the greats, the Kobes. Believe it or not, everyone thinks Kobe pounded the ball so much. No, he shot a lot. He didn't pound the ball as much as people think. Not as much as Kawhi or even Paul George for that matter. But even LeBron for that matter, I don't think – I would love to see the actual amount of dribbles Kobe took, because he shot a lot, but wasn't always the most dribbles. But anyway, no point in talking about the great Kobe Bryant right now. But Kawhi Leonard, yeah, he was still awesome. Don't get it twisted. I'm just saying it was a lot for him. He has to guard LeBron. He's playing on a back-to-back. He's playing in overtime of a back-to-back. I was already impressed with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking for that much more. It's just, it is what it is. But that's why, we traded our front court. Nicholas Batum has done a pretty good job on LeBron and all the matchups against him as a member of the Clippers. Even Marcus Morris, who, is not necessarily a good defender at all, but he did a decent job on LeBron at times in the past. But Lakers went up by 10. And by the way, Clippers were staggering Kawhi and Paul George in the fourth quarter. Paul George was in to start the fourth, and he hit 2 threes right away. And what a fourth quarter it was for PG. What a season it's been for PG so far. He has absolutely been back on his bully shit. And 2 threes to start the quarter, but he came out at the 8:17 mark for Kawhi Leonard. And LeBron, I thought in the pick and roll, he was starting to cook in that mid-range area. And that's when I was really like, what are we getting from Zoo tonight? Like, seriously, he's not finishing around the rim. He's getting blocked again. And I will say, sometimes he doesn't get – I think Zoo gets a horrible whistle. He gets no respect from refs, and it's been several years. But he also just goes up soft. He doesn't get off the ground enough. He takes too long to go up. And just one game, he's a beast. The next game, he's soft. The next game, he doesn't play with confidence. It's just, what are we getting from him? In this game, 3 for 8. All his shots are in the paint. His free throws have been asked to start the season too, and I don't think he made enough of a defense defensively. No block shots, not affecting too many shots, getting put in the pick and roll, and LeBron was getting good looks. Just 7 points and 9 boards. I'll take the 9 boards, but the Clippers got out-rebounded in this game, 46-51. Now, thankfully, Westbrook and PJ Tucker got some offensive rebounds, but PJ Tucker, I like the guy because when I went to Phoenix and I got the locker room backstage pass or whatever you want to call it, he was the one guy who in 2013 shook my hand and my whole family's hand, put the shirt out, and did a huge signature on it. And I'll never forget that as a kid. So, I have a soft spot for PJ Tucker. I also think PJ is a guy that helps everybody win games and is a dog, but he's just past it. Like, he's just straight up past it. I know he got the offensive rebounds, but he used to be a defender that hit corner threes. Now, he can't defend nearly the same way. He only shoots corner threes, and every team knows it. And when you already have Westbrook, who teams are sagging off, and neither of your bigs are stretch bigs, then you're dealing with a spacing issue in today's NBA. And that's what you also were dealing with in the second half. When you got PJ, Zoo, and Russ in the game, That's going to be pretty tough, especially if Russ isn't initiating every time down the court. So PJ Tucker, I mean, I didn't ever plan before the season when I said I think the Clippers are the second best team in the West before the Harden move, for them to have Zoo, PJ Tucker, and Russ on the court. That wasn't in the cards. Although you could say that could have been KJ Martin. But I thought that, I even said that KJ, Russ, and Zoo would be weird. I thought Mason would be better. But here's another thing, right? Bones Highland was being asked to do a lot tonight. You're putting him in the starting lineup where he can be attacked more. He's supposed to be a guy that comes off the bench, handles the ball for you in the second unit, which now he's going to not really be doing because we have Harden. But he's supposed to be an energizer scorer off the bench when your starters come out. And in this game, we missed that punch when Kawhi and Paul George were out. It was too much off-ball Bones. He barely got anything in the pick and roll. And yeah, so anyway, I thought the Clippers were dead and buried. It looked like it. Zoo just wasn't good enough. Mason wasn't giving us anything. Kawhi was getting cold. LeBron was cooking. Austin Reeves was getting in his bag. And the Lakers' size was kind of overwhelming us a bit. Remember, we just don't have size in the front court anymore. And obviously no Terrence Mann. Obviously, the Lakers, you could say they missed Rui Hachimura. I don't think they really missed Gabe Vincent, even though he was better against Orlando. I think he's kind of been taken away from some guys a bit. But Russ, by the way, Lakers made an adjustment, put LeBron on Westbrook, and they were totally ignoring him. And in the second half, I thought Russ did not have nearly the same half he had in the first. That meme that's going to go viral of him running full speed and then crossing over from left to right and tripping. He tripped on LeBron's foot. It could have been a foul. Probably should have been. And by the way, the officiating was dog shit in this game, both sides. Clippers, obviously, I think ended up getting a slightly worse whistle. We fouled more. But at the same time, it's not even close to any significant factor as to why the Clippers lost. Westbrook closing the game is still a little bit of a concern for me. However, he doesn't have to close. And that's why last year I was resistant on getting him, is because I wondered, is he going to be okay not closing? And he was for us. So if we needed to go with lineups of Kawhi, Paul, Norm, Terrence, and maybe one of Zoo, Rocco, or Nico, that would have been, ideal. Now we know three guys for sure are going to close every game, and that's going to be Plummer, Jim, Kawhi, and Paul George. And then the last two are up for, what we need. But Terrence Mann will probably be closing games. I'm very comfortable with him closing. But yeah, I think Harden's a better closer than Russ. I like what Russ brings for those first three quarters. I just don't like Russ and Harden playing together for 6 minutes each, for 6 minutes to start each half. I don't like that. I think there are some ways you can, on a play-to-play basis, get some creative action. But ultimately, I think taking the ball out of Russ's hands, as we see, is not always the best thing. I think the balance the Clippers had before we traded for Harden in terms of Russ's touches is really good. I think that's the way you're going to get the best version of him. And right now, you're getting the best version of Paul George completely. And Kawhi, you can say he hasn't been his best version yet, but it's coming. It's coming. And he's been really good at the end of the day. Really good. I'm not complaining. But yeah, Westbrook was a little shaky at the end of this game. Too many turnovers. Obviously not really a threat to shoot. And I don't think he was moving with confidence when he got the ball at the end of this one. But that being said, I think free throws also played a factor, majorly. The Lakers shot 27 for 36 at the line, 75%. Clippers shot 17 for 27, 63%, which is really unfortunate considering that we had another good three-point shooting game. Every single game we've shot well from three, 41%, 47.5 overall from the field. But let's look at the free throws. Kawhi Leonard, 3 for 6. I mean, that's a difference maker if he makes. I remember he missed all three in the first half. It was so weird. Westbrook, 3 for 5. It's unfortunate, but that's, not rare for him to go 3 for 5 from the line. Zubats, 1 for 2. Plumlee, 3 for 6. And again, Plumlee, he's just not a good defender in any stretch. By any stretch, he doesn't protect the rim. He gets blown by off the bounce. He gets the corner turned on him. He's becoming a liability. I don't use that word often, but he's becoming a slight liability defensively. Now, I'm not saying that Mason Plumlee is going to be the make it or break it for us to win a championship. Does it get to the point where he becomes unplayable? I don't know. I don't think he has gotten to that so far, but I'll tell you what, it's made a lot worse when both our centers play like ass. Now, the Lakers were up 110-102. I thought they had the game. They almost choked it. Paul George going absolutely nuclear to end the game. Russ making a big three as well. And Russ, his shot making was still really good in this game. 24 points on 9 for 21 shooting and 3 for 6 from deep. Missed a couple of layups that he probably should have made, but again, it happens. And 11 rebounds to go along with those, 4 offensive rebounds. So again, one of the major things, and you're going to see it a lot with Harden now, is when teams sag off of Russ, he's going to crash the offensive glass. He also had 8 assists and 4 steals, but the 6 turnovers, and those accounted for, almost half of them. We had 13 as a team, and the Lakers scored 23 points off our turnover. So part of the reason they had more fast break points was when we turned the ball over, we went cold in the third quarter, they selectively found good moments to run. But what I'm saying, when Mason doesn't play well and you have Zoo not playing well, it's tough, especially when the Lakers get good minutes from their bigs. When you had Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood, and AD in, that's 3 bigs that are not terrible moving their feet. I thought Wood was terrible moving his feet, but he could stay with Kawhi pretty well and Kevin Durant pretty well. And then Jackson Hayes, he's got really good athleticism. I just don't think he brings much offensively. And he had a very dangerous foul on Kawhi at one point in this game. But anyway, Paul George with a couple of huge threes at the end of the game and then gets fouled on a 3 by Cam Reddish. They reviewed the call and ended up being a foul on the elbow. He made all 3 free throws, and I was so nervous for those free throws because if Paul George missed any of them, he would have gone clown so hard. Podcast piss, pandemic pee, look at that. Can't say shit about Paul George tonight at all. And then on the last possession, the Lakers, by the way, they were targeting Bones Hyland in the fourth. And again, I don't think Bones Hyland's going to be playing many minutes in the fourth, especially under 9 minutes in general. That's fine. That's not what we brought him in for. Even before the Harden trade, that's not what we had him in for. But because he has to do a little more without Terrence, without Harden, no more Rocco and Nico, he's getting targeted. Then we brought in PJ Tucker, and he was getting targeted on the last possession. LeBron had Tucker. Kawhi came to double. Paul George did a really good job at stunting at AD, so the lob was taken away. LeBron made a good pass over the corner to Reddish, who, by the way, great defense, but offensively brings absolutely nothing. I am so confident he's going to miss every time he shoots. And D'Lo got a really good look off a pump fake, missed the 3. We go into OT, and by the way, D'Lo was a big part of the Lakers' run in the second half as well. The Lakers outscored the Clips 39-24 in the third quarter. Clippers outscoring them 32-30 in the fourth quarter. And by the way, you saw a level of hunger in the second half from the Lakers, like, okay, it's been 11 straight games. Let's fucking beat these guys for once. But overtime, Paul George fouled out after Kawhi Leonard put us up 2. I had a feeling we were going to lose the game because we were relying too much on them in this one. Norman Powell, I thought he was just okay. Didn't give us enough. 12 points from him, 6 for 14 from the field, and 0 for 4 from deep. In a game in which our defense was lazier and not as good because, again, we just lost 2 of our better defenders and we don't have Terrence Mann, who's going to be one of our main point of attack guys. LeBron has struggled against our length and size and the amount of bodies we've been able to throw at him in the past. And in this game, he struggled less because we've had Kawhi on him all game. And then other than that, mismatch hunting. So it was tough. It was tough. And I think it took a toll on Kawhi to a degree offensively. But in overtime, after Paul George got fouled out, it looked like he found a little injection of youth in those legs. And one thing I've noticed, Kawhi doesn't like stopping on a dime and going to his left when guys are on his hip, especially when they close out on him and they don't super bite on the pump fake. But when he's going to his left, he doesn't get great elevation stopping on a dime going that way. I've noticed that. He's always got to be on balance. He's not great on a dime unless he's in the zone. When he's in the zone, he'll pull up on a dime, no problem. And in the first half, he was. And when I say on a dime, I'm sorry, I mean on a dime with somebody on him, not coming off a screen when you are, got a downhill glimmer of daylight and someone's literally behind you or not on you. It's a little different. But Kawhi still was making big shots, had that N1, had that 3 ball. Overall, for him, a really good scoring night. But it was the Lakers who made the big plays at the end. AD with a little jump hook in the corner. And then Austin Reeves and 1 when the Clippers, Norman Powell included in this, could not play good enough defense without fouling. Didn't come up with the win. The Lakers outlasted us. They got us 130-125. The momentum was theirs. I think the Clippers back-to-back hurt them. I think their lack of good play from their bigs hurt them. I think Kawhi Leonard cooling down hurt them. And I think Russell Westbrook's 6 turnovers absolutely hurt us as well. And just not having the options that you would want to have close the game in the sense of Terrence Mann and, of course, now Harden But like in a game like this, let's say we had made the trade, I would have had, if Russ was struggling down the stretch, Norm, Kawhi, Paul, Zoo, and then Terrence, right? So did I say Terrence twice? Kawhi, Paul, Terrence, Zoo, and then maybe Rocco or Nico, or maybe Rocco and Nico and no Zoo. So you had options. Whether now you still have options with Harden, but yeah, sometimes Russ just can't close. I really think so, because I've always said the ball tends to find non-shooters at the end of games. So let's read the lines for the game tonight. The Lakers did a much better job, by the way, of taking care of the ball second half. That's another major thing. They were turning the ball over way too much. And in the second half, they took better care of the ball. We led by as many as 19 in this game, which sucks. It sucks to think about that we lost. I think it was 37-18 at one point. And so it was a first quarter 19-point lead, which in today's NBA is nothing. It's not a good loss, but at the end of the day, it's not a loss I'm tripping off of. But right now, I'm not tripping off any losses anymore because we have Harden, and like, I just like don't even care anymore. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't even know what to say. I'm just coping by talking about it with you guys like it's not even a thing, but you know I hate super teams, guys. Now you know I hate James Harden. Anyway, let's talk about the lines. Clippers played a 9-man rotation. Kobe Brown played in the first half and didn't play in the second half, so I think that's another thing too. We only went 8 deep. That's a result of, I don't know why Amir Coffey's not getting any minutes on a game like this. Remember, we also don't have Brandon Boston. So when we talk about Vando and you know, Torian Prince, we should talk about Brandon Boston then too. But Kobe Brown, one shot. It was an open 3. I liked how he took it with no hesitation. 0 points. Didn't get anything from him really on either end. Mason Plumlee played 19 minutes. That was pretty bad. 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals. Just didn't give us much. Defensively, he is a problem right now. 1 for 3 from the field. That's no good considering he's a guy that often shoots 100% from the field in games. 3 for 6 from the line, contributing to our poor free throw shooting. And then PJ Tucker, 21 minutes and a whole lot of cardio. Had the worst plus minus on our team. Minus 15 in his Clipper debut. It looked like you just threw him out there, you know. Has he even practiced with the squad yet? He literally got here last night and he's already suiting up. I don't know about that. Just felt like we need bodies. Go out there. What about Amir Coffey? Anyway, a donut for PJ. Just like I said, he puts up a lot of donuts. He's not a threat to shoot. And I think that was a problem. Our offense, we had 3 guys sometimes in a lineup that weren't a threat to shoot. And look, Westbrook makes up for it in other ways. What ways is PJ Tucker making up for it besides, yeah, he got us a couple second chance possessions for sure. Bones Highland, really, really good first half. Second half kind of drifted away from him as it got a little more physical, got a little bit more like playoff basketball. And again, I think Highland is perfect for a certain role. You know, a little innings eater, as you might say, handling the ball when Russ is out of the game, giving us that scoring punch. 4 points. I didn't think his defense was that bad, though. I will say he's just going to get targeted because he's not going to switch on a certain guys. 4 points, 5 assists for Bones. He didn't turn the ball over, which I like. 2 for 7 from the field and 0 for 3 from deep. Remember, just because he shot the 3 ball really well in the in the regular season, doesn't mean he's going to shoot it super well throughout the season. He's not just a catch and shoot guy, and he's very streaky shooting the ball, but he does have a lot of good stuff on the ball, which again, how much are we taking away from him when we have Plumber Jim on the court? Anyway, let's go to the other starters. Ivica Zubac, 29 minutes, 7 points, 9 boards on 3 for 8 shooting and 1 for 2 from the line. Thought it was a pretty poor performance from Zoo. And then you have Russ, who had 24 points, 11 rebounds, 4 of those being offensive, and 8 assists to go along with 4 steals. But he turned the ball over 6 times. I thought it was a tale of 2 halves for Russ. Really good in the first half. A couple of big shots in the second half, but overall, not good enough. Not to turn the ball over that much and not being a threat to score. I think, yeah, don't got much to say. 44 minutes is a lot. Kawhi Leonard, 41 minutes played. A whole lot. But remember, we have 4 days off before the New York game, which is set to be probably James Harden's debut at the Garden. The Knicks aren't playing very good basketball right now either. 38 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers for Kawhi. I thought it was a really solid game, but of course, just asking a lot of him. So I'm not too mad, but second half was a little rougher. 15 for 28 for him. A lot of shots. I don't think he should be shooting 12 more shots than Paul George, but again, he was scorching in the first half, so I'm not going to have too much of a problem with our best player shooting a lot. 5 for 11 from deep. The problem I have is 3 for 6 from the foul line. So again, nobody's exempt of blame. Kawhi should take some blame. I think Paul George, honestly, I see nothing wrong with the way he played, except for maybe gambling on defense a bit and getting fouls. I think our whole team was gambling too much on defense. Russell, Westbrook included. Norman Powell got a couple of cheap fouls. 35 points for Paul. Thought he was our best player yet again. 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. You can make the argument it was Kawhi, but I thought Paul was just so good. 11 for 16 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, 7 for 8 from the line. It seemed like he was more consistently drawing 2 defenders. But the Clippers lose it. I'm not too mad at it. Again, I know the Lakers are shorthanded, but now the Clippers went all in for 4 stars. So when one of those stars isn't playing, yeah, you should be able to get the win. And we probably should have gotten the win. But again, I don't really care, bro. We got Harden. I don't even know what to think at this point. Let's look at the Lakers. They only went 8 deep with all their shorthanded player, with all their injuries. Jackson Hayes, 3 points, 14 minutes, 1 for 1. Max Christie, thought he played good defense, but his shot still wasn't there. 5 points, 3 boards on 1 for 7 shooting and 1 for 5 from deep in 22 minutes. Then you had Christian Wood, who's off to a really good start to this season for the Lakers. 10 points, 11 rebounds, and a steal and a block on 4 for 6 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3. Thought he was excellent. And then starters, Cam Reddish played 37 minutes, had 8 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals. His shot is terrible. I don't see anything from him offensively. 1 for 5 from 3, 2 for 7 from the field. But I thought that his defense on Paul George, despite what the stats might suggest, pretty damn good. And when he guarded Kawhi, pretty good as well. And then Austin Reeves, probably his best game of the season so far. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals. He did turn the ball over 5 times. He was 5 for 13 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep, 5 for 5 from the line, and that and one he hit in overtime really pushed the momentum forward for the Lakers. I thought he was pretty good. And then D'Angelo Russell, really solid game from him. Maybe his best game of the season, probably was. 27 points, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 10 for 19 from the field, so super efficient, and 3 for 7 from deep. Really solid game for D'Lo, who, by the way, Russ was dominating both Reeves and D'Lo in the first half, but second half they put LeBron on him, and he couldn't really do it. So Russ, he really dominates the smaller guards, but when you put a bigger guy on him, he tends to struggle. So again, when you put a bigger guy on Russ, Zubats needs to take advantage of the Cam Reddishes, I saw Cam Reddish guarding Zoo, and he's not even looking for the ball. It's all confidence. LeBron, great performance. Second time scaring me in all my years watching the Clippers play LeBron. So twice in his entire time. Good for him. 35 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. His athleticism is still amazing at this age. 1 steal, 2 blocks, 4 turnovers. Really great in the fourth quarter. Uber efficient. 13 for 19 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, 5 for 10 from the line. So that's not great. But LeBron was my player of the game in this one. I thought his fourth quarter performance was really strong, and I think he's getting more on ball lately. He also guarded Kawhi in the first half, but didn't do a very good job. You like to see the effort, though. But I think LeBron's going a little more on ball city the last couple of games. So how sustainable is it? He played 42 minutes tonight. We'll see. Anthony Davis played 48 minutes, and even though it was a quiet game, he quietly had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks, 0 turnovers. He was a plus 11, which was the second highest of any Laker, Christian Wood being the highest with a plus 14. He was 10 for 18 from the field, didn't take any threes, and was 7 for 9 from the foul line. Thought AD overall was really good, got the job done. I wouldn't even want to say really good. He was good. The Clippers are now 0-2 on the road, 3-0 at home. The Lakers and the Clippers are both 3-0 at home. So Staples Center looking like a fortress right now. They both have the same record at 3-0. And yeah, that's that. 130-125. Lakers snap the streak over the Clippers. As a Clipper fan, I would not take anything seriously because you have a super team now that we haven't even seen. So if you're a Laker fan, good win. That's all I got to take from it. Anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out my latest content. Clipper fans react to getting James Harden. We all know how I feel about it. You can check out how I feel about it. I'm dreading it. Not looking forward to it. My belief in the season is gone. I'm just making content now. I don't even know how I'm going to root for this team. I really don't know. It is crazy and surreal seeing James Harden on the Clipper bench. I am not going to lie. This is my first season with season tickets, and it's our first season with a super team and James Harden. And yes, it's a fucking super team. Don't even try to tell me it's not. Okay, because I still think we got 3 stars, maybe 4 stars. You can debate if Russ is a star or not, but so far this season, he's been a star. Anyway, if you want to say he can't be a star because he can't close, then that's fine. But like even in his prime, in his good years, Russ, for every great play he made, he made some shaky plays as well. That's why everybody had doubts about him, even with KD. So that was still a true criticism of him when he was in his prime. Anyway, we're a super team. I don't care what anyone says. But anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. Have a great night. And let's go to the live subscribers waiting patiently in the chat. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. Peace.